Hello, welcome back to Cutty's Corner, my kind of little mini podcast thing that I got going on here. Thank you for listening. I'm going to delve into some thoughts and some words about my faith. I just want to share it. I have a lot of thoughts going through my head all the time, and words and that I want to share, that I want to get out. And I don't always have an audience for that. And some of my audience might already know this, and there's other audience that I don't speak to, that I need to speak to. So I'm going to put my thoughts into this, and so it can be there. So just thanks for tuning in. If you take some time even to listen to a few minutes of this, I just hope it blesses you. I hope that the Lord works through me well enough that I can say a good word or two and spread the good news, which is my job as a believer and a follower of Christ. On these podcasts that I've been doing, I usually do sports. I haven't been very good at actually recording them and then putting them out. I did try to record a Yankees one last week, a couple days ago, and I'm being the genius that I am with technology. I don't know, it didn't really work. I spent like 50 minutes talking, and then it didn't actually, it recorded, but it didn't work anyways. So I'm going to do another one of those, but for this one, I want to talk about a certain couple of verses and how they've been kind of weighing heavy on me, and just with my thoughts, how it can relate to the current world, the current state, maybe our country's in. I mean, the world in general, but if we're focusing a little bit more narrower, our country especially. And yeah, I might get a little political in these too. I'll try not to, because I know that can be a turnoff for a lot of people. I want to focus as much as I can onto biblical truth, and I'm not going to claim to be a preacher or some sort of a prophet or anything other than a believer and a follower of Christ who just wants to do his best to spread the good news, because I continually fail at not doing it. I continually fail at doing it, and spreading that good news to the people around me day in and day out. So maybe if I can put my words into this, I can practice it and hopefully reach some people this way and improve on being able to talk to others that I see day in and day out, that I meet day in and day out. So before I get into this, I just want to say I am a failure. I am a sinner. I'm broken, and the only thing that I can do to fix that is rely on the fact that God sent his one son down to live a life of a man, experience life as a man, go through all the pain and the struggles that a man does, that a human does, go through all of that, live a perfect life, and still take the punishment for me and everybody else on this earth. He took God's wrath, so we don't have to. So I am a failure, a loser, a broken pile of garbage. But the only way I can get into heaven and not spend eternal separation away from God is by trusting and putting my faith in Jesus. And not only that, but also having a relationship with him. So before I get into this, I just wanted to state that, and anything that I say that can help somebody is only through the grace of God and the glory of God. working through me. It is not me, myself. I am a broken human being. All right. I'm very weak. I can't harness or handle any sort of power from this earth, of anything else other than have a relationship with Jesus and pray to God that he works through me and helps me put forward something that can help others. So the two verses that I wanted to kind of talk about that have been hitting me pretty hard lately, I've been reading through Ephesians in the New Testament. It's a letter from Paul, and if you know who Paul is, you know how hard-hitting his writing is, and which is much of the New Testament is written by Paul, and he writes this letter to Ephesus. I do my best. Well, I should say I do read the Bible daily. I don't read enough of it. I don't spend enough time in it, and I'm not completely versed in it. But so I've been reading through Ephesians. This is what my good friend Tim told me to do, and so I wanted to work through that. I also do read my devotions daily, which are a few verses a day, along with a devotional that kind of ties in with the verses, and it just seems like God speaks to me pretty much every single day, one way or another, through those that ties into my day, that day or the day before. It's pretty remarkable and amazing. But so I got to Ephesians 6, the last chapter of Ephesians, the other day, and I was reading through it, and I read verse 10 and 11, and it talks about the whole armor of God. So verse 10 is, finally be strong in the Lord and the strength of his might. Verse 11, put on the whole armor of God that you may be able to stand against the schemes of the devil. So this was kind of a widespread two verses that can cover a lot of things. So I'll try to be concise as possible and not let my thoughts ramble off too much, because I'm sure if I ramble on for an hour here, which I definitely could do, knowing me, that people would see the title of this and then see that it's 45 minutes or an hour long and just not even bother, which I get, because you do not want to hear me talk for that long. So I'll try to keep this concise as possible. But if you read through Ephesians 6, after verses 10 and 11, it'll go in and explain more about the whole armor of God. But just standing alone there, I think that covers so much of putting our trust in him and putting our faith in him, because I don't know if you really notice, or if you just choose to ignore it, like I did for quite a long time in my life. But if you just, it sounds cliche, but tune into the news or whatever. I don't really like tuning into the actual news, because it's not very truthful all the time. But if you stay in touch with what happens in this world, in this earth, it is a very evil place. I don't think evil's ever been more prevalent and more out in the open than it is right now. I think Satan has captured the hearts of many, and I think the church, the American church especially, is very weak. I think a lot of the American church has strayed away from teaching biblical truth, and teaches more acceptance, and it's all about love, and and taking in everybody they can to keep their churches open, as opposed to telling the truth and staying on that narrow path like we're supposed to, as Jesus says it will be, if we are going to be followers of him, because the path to destruction is wide, easy to go on. It's easy to give in to every single one of your temptations and go through this life doing exactly whatever you want and listening to whatever you want, taking in advice from whoever you want, and leading to wherever your body or your mind desires in this world. That's easy to do. The hard thing is staying on that narrow path to righteousness. And I think when you think about putting on the whole armor of God, it's a little daunting, because when you read just that part of it, it portrays you're putting on the armor of the creator of the universe. It's like, wait, how can we comprehend that? And if I were to try, it'd be really hard. I think what Paul's talking about here is putting your absolute trust in Jesus and your faith in Jesus. And the thing that strengthens that armor is not only having that faith, giving your life to Jesus, but having that relationship with him and staying in constant communication with him. If you're in constant communication with the Lord, he will provide you that armor to withstand evil. Because at the end of the day, the devil can do all he wants to on this earth, but Jesus will win in the end. Jesus is coming back, and he will defeat the devil. And the devil, if Jesus has you wrapped in the armor of God, and the devil continues to attack you on this earth, yes, your life can be a hellish struggle. And you can go through some awful, awful things. But if you put your trust and your faith in Jesus through that entire time and endure through all that pain, you are in for an eternity of paradise. But if you let the devil turn you away with all this mire and gunk and filth of violence and murder and temptation, and you let him turn you away from Jesus, and you lose that armor, then he can truly consume you. If Satan truly consumes you on this earth because you just totally give up, and you think, and you blame, your own choices, your own free will choices, and then the evil of sin of this world on God, if you want to do that and then totally say, I don't care, and go into living that life of sin without any repentance, then you will face eternal separation from God. And that's kind of the widespread, a zoomed out look at that. Because it's true. I'll be honest. Like, I'm very blessed, and I live a very good life. I don't deserve. Yes, there's issues here and there, but nothing like what many people are going through. The old cliche, the old saying that it can always be worse. Yeah, that's absolutely true. You could be struggling with a lot of things right now, but there is somebody out there who has it worse than you. There's somebody out there getting killed right now. There's somebody out there dying right now. There's somebody out there withering away from a terrible disease, whether that's cancer or something that's killing them from the inside. Like, there are people who are struggling much more than you right now. And I'm not saying that to diminish your problems. I'm just saying that to add some perspective, Because I think more now than ever, because of the last few years of what's been happening to the world, which is kind of, maybe if we go short term, what started with COVID, with everybody getting locked down, isolated, putting all their energy into, seeing what's in social media, what's online, and what ended up happening is just more cases of mental illness, anxieties, a huge, increase in social anxieties because people were away from people for so long. And then obviously physical unhealthiness, just getting accustomed to a certain lifestyle, and then also people lost businesses for it. They lose their fortune, lose money. And then throughout these last 4 or so years, the division that has been flying through the world, I think it was an attempt by whoever is calling the shots, which is Satan, on this world to try to divide us and beat us down as much as possible, which is why there's such a need for the armor of God, the whole armor of God. Because even though, and I know I definitely didn't have it terrible during this whole pandemic thing. Like, I went back home, a lot of stuff was still open. I think the biggest restriction we had to do was wear a mask some places. Like, I was still able to generally live my life pretty well back in Iowa, and then, I still stayed pretty active, and then I still went back to school, was playing ball and stuff, hanging out with my buddies there. Like, I made it through pretty fine, all good. So I'm just very blessed in my situation there. I know a lot of people had it a lot worse, but I think just the lightning bolt of division that I think started mid-2010s. I think there's always been a certain division, but politically, but also spiritually, religiously, whatever you want to call that. I don't like calling it religion because religion's a man-made thing, and that's a lot of man-made rules there, and that's a whole other thing I could get into. I'll try not to, but when we stop trusting in God and trusting Him to lead us as a people, and it starts small and it grows, right? So like if we stop trusting God to lead us as a family, that's going to spread to, stop trusting God to lead you as a business. That's going to spread to different people, to their families. You stop trusting God to lead you as a state. That's going to spread. As an organization, that's going to spread. As a country, that's going to spread. And all it does is create division and more issues than we could ever imagine, right? There's a reason, a president swears on the Bible when he's inaugurated. I don't know what you call it. Inaugurated into office, inauguration day. Like, that was what our founders of this country built this country on, was biblical values. Not every single one of them were Christians. Many of them were, but not all of them maybe believed, but they believed some in the morality that came from biblical values. A lot of people who have held public office, whether that be at the local, state, federal level, some of them believe in those wholeheartedly, but most of them don't. Most of them pick and choose what they want to believe in, and whatever is privy to their needs and their wants, their desires. And that, in a nutshell, is the biggest problem with this current, I don't like saying society, but I say it all the time, society or generation. But there's, a lot of different generations living in this current time. I guess we'll go with current time. That was a lot of words. But, people who want to pick and choose little pieces out of the Bible make sense for themselves, but not want to deal with the hard stuff, the really difficult stuff that the Bible states and makes very clear. And there's a lot of issues, abortion, transgender, LGBTQ plus rights, that the Bible speaks out against. And people don't want to hear that part. They want to live free to themselves, and they say, and the reason you hear all these famous people, politicians, whatever, support abortion, support the rainbow rights and all this. The reason you hear them saying that is because they have given their heart and their soul to the devil. It is more profitable for them for you to be single, homosexual, childless, and easier to control. And that's what happens when you drop the armor of God off your body. You strip yourself of that, and you say, I want to chase my own feelings. I want to make my own truths. I don't want to listen to the quote-unquote chains that the Bible puts on me anymore. I want to go out and do my own thing and be my own God. And that's the issue with a lot of things. If you think you can be your own God and be protected by your own armor, you're in for a rude awakening as you go on in this life. Yes, you might think you're living a fun, empowering lifestyle, or you might become profitable, you might be successful, chasing your own desires. Maybe you will be, I don't know, but I think I heard this from, I don't know if it was a movie clip or something one time, but it does kind of hit you differently when you hear something like this. But sometimes the devil will let you be so comfortable in your sin, and it's very true. The devil will try to get you to a point where you're so comfortable in your sin that you don't realize it's sin anymore. It's just a common thing you're doing, and maybe it's contributing to you being successful, maybe it's contributing to you thinking you're happy, this and that. But you strip off that armor of God and think you can cover yourself with your own armor, the devil can penetrate that with ease. He cannot penetrate the armor of God. So I'll stop rambling for a little bit. I really hope this spoke to some people. If you do listen to it more than a couple minutes, you get into some of the more difficult stuff I talk about in this, and you want to call me out on it, say I got something wrong, say that I'm misquoting scripture or something, which I didn't get a ton into scripture, but please go ahead, reach out to me. I think if anybody who listens to this probably knows me already, so yeah, hit me up. Anything, if something like this spurred something inside of you and you want to talk about it more, please reach out to me and talk to me about it. Even if you have an issue with it, talk to me about it. I love to talk to anybody about the absolute glory and blessing that Jesus has brought upon my life, and the grace that God gives me, because I don't deserve any of it. I'm a loser, all right? I've said that like 3 times, and I'll say it again. I don't deserve any of this, but because I'm a broken sinner, just like everybody else on this earth. So please reach out, talk to me if you have any questions, or just want to yell at me or have a conversation about it. I don't care. Please do it. Thank you if you listened. God bless y'all. Remember, the faith in Jesus and a relationship with Jesus is the way to heaven. There's no other way. You don't get in by your own good works or your being a quote-unquote good person on this earth. All right? Faith in Jesus, faith in God, and a relationship with Jesus. Thanks, guys.